Hey everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and the UK I don't know if this is a landmark court case because it can still be appealed, but it is certainly significant, decided that Uber drivers are not workers or independent contractors, they are employees. They have told Uber that Uber needs to start paying drivers minimum wage, sick time, overtime, holiday pay, and all these other things. And as you can figure, Uber is not too happy about it. Uber keeps pointing out that, you can get on and off whenever you want. There's no minimum hours. They can go wherever they want, really. And they are every definition of independent contractor. And here's my stance on it, because once in a while I have to kind of clarify what I believe and if this is the right thing, if it's the wrong thing. Because people have asked, why don't I get more behind unionizing Uber if Uber is so terrible? And here's why. I believe in the independent contractor status, but I understand why it is under such scrutiny. Here's the thing. I have never wanted to be an employee, for Uber or Lyft, or DoorDash, or Postmates, or Caviar, or anything. I do like working whenever I want. I like picking the hours and the areas and the times. That's what I like doing. That's set, and I believe that freedom gives me the right to be an independent contractor. Because once I become an employee, they start doling out hours, start telling me where to drive, when to drive, and everything. Now then, as an independent contractor, Uber tries to do things to manipulate the thing. That's why surge happens during certain hours. That's why boost is offered during certain times and in certain areas. That's why they let people know this and that. And yes, I do believe Uber automatically accepting a ride or giving you the next ride before I even have a chance to look at the map and see if it's surging anywhere or if that's an area I want to pick someone up from. I believe that is an employee tactic myself. And of course, it's an employee tactic that they deactivate me. I don't think people should be deactivated without any repercussion whatsoever, because as an independent contractor, you should be allowed to come back. In fact, as an independent contractor, if I'm on the app, I should be allowed to say no to certain employees and they should be allowed to say no to me, but Uber should not be acting as the barrier to remove me unless there is a lawsuit or criminal case opened against me. That said, it has changed drastically. It has changed so much over the years, because when I was starting, I was making a lot more money, the surge was a lot more plentiful, and everything was just better. And now that everyone's working for peanuts, it's getting to the point where it's you almost really want to force Uber's hand. You want to force them to pay us a little better. So it is a conflict of interest. By the way, someone's working on the roof, so I'm sorry if you hear any background noise. I don't know if you can or not. But so as the situation evolves, has my position changed? And it's changed only in the slightest, because it's still a very complicated issue. I would still ideally like to be an independent contractor, but the more Uber abuses that privilege, the more that all of them abuse that privilege, the more I realize that's not a reality I can get behind, even though I would greatly like to. And here's the frustrating thing about it, because Uber complains and they huff and they heave and they go to court and they say, we do this is why they should be an independent contractor. Here's the thing, the only reason they are being sued and challenged about it is because they screwed it up so badly themselves. I think back to 2.5 years ago, and it's the solution was so simple. The minimum ride was $10. Now, was that minimum wage in California? No. But it was so close. It was so close to where if you weren't making minimum wage per hour, you were truly not doing something right. And this was where Uber really had it in the ballpark. With most states, the minimum fare was minimum wage. And because it only covered the first 5 miles, most of the time you would make more than that. So you would make your minimum wage and then some. You could make $30 to $50 an hour on base fare alone. You didn't need surge. If you got surge, it was even better. And nobody complained, or very, very few people complained. Because, again, it was understanding you were not an employee, you were an independent contractor. You could get on when you want, you could get off when you want. You didn't accumulate sick time or holiday pay, because if you got sick, you just didn't go to work. There was no reason you were going to get fired for being sick and not turning on the app. Heck, you could not turn on the app for 3 weeks. Turn it on, you'd be perfectly fine. Uber had it. They had it because they had the fare that the drivers liked, and they had the passengers who were willing to pay for it. But it wasn't enough. I'm going to sidestep a little bit because to clarify what I mean by that comment, because I saw a very, very interesting documentary on Hulu called Too Funny to Fail. And it's a Hulu exclusive documentary, and they're not paying for this advertisement. I'm just using it as an illustration. And that was about the rise and fall of the Dana Carvey show, where they got a lot of really high-strung talent together to make a sketch show. And it was going to premiere after Home Improvement, which was one of my favorite shows growing up. And I still enjoy it, even though, it hasn't aged the best. But, anyway, at one point, the opening sketch of the very first episode was Dana Carvey doing a Bill Clinton impression, which he was known for doing. He was known for doing presidential impressions, and he had done Clinton before. And he was going to, he locked up Hillary in a room, and then it showed they had 6 different nipples, and he was breastfeeding a baby and a dog, and then he got up and there was a chicken butt, so he could lay eggs, and the joke was that he could be the nurturing president of all kind. And Stephen Colbert, who was on the show, admitted that the problem was when that was the very first scene, and the live ratings plummeted because people were just so offended by it. I don't know if they'd be super offended by it now, but they were at the time. And he said it so perfectly. He said, with the Dana Carvey show, people wanted to see him impersonate Bill Clinton. And that's all he had to do. But it wasn't enough. He had to go that little extra step, and it killed the show. Now let's apply this to Uber. Uber, when they launched, they had the right fare. They had the people jumping from taxi to Uber. They had no complaints because it was set up so well. And that was all they needed to do, and they could have slowly become a powerful force in the industry, creating a new industry on their terms with very little opposition because drivers love them and passengers love them. And they could have been forever a stable competitor to the taxi industry. That's all Uber needed to do. But it wasn't enough. It was not enough. So what do? They have to cut the rates. They have to undermine the competition. They had to kill the competition, because when Kalanick was running Uber, it was like, I am not only killing the taxi industry, I am killing Lyft, I am killing public transportation, I am killing car ownership as we know it. All he had to do was be an alternative to the taxis, and people would have flocked to the service, and they were flocking to the service. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And here's the thing, all of the drivers who were perfectly happy making a minimum of $10 per ride, plus some more if the ride was longer than 5 miles, now they are making $2.30. Heck, in some areas, the minimum fare is $1.50. They can't live like that. They cannot live like that. So they have been pushing Uber in court. They have been pushing it. And Uber can totally backpedal. They can start raising the rates. Or can they? Because here's the thing. 3 years ago, Uber was worth a minimum of $10 for the ride. Nowadays, it's worth $5. It's not even worth $5. It's worth $4 to some people. And if you raise the rates, people would stop using it. Not everyone, and I think they would at some point come back. But they would lose some of that install base. It has been so low for so long that it is no longer worth anything to people. It is worth pocket change. And it's very, very hard to change that perspective. And Even the new CEO admits the problem. He has been on TV and in news articles. He has been explaining the issues with people. How Uber lost a culture war, the culture changed, whatever. And he has even admitted the company still does not look to be profitable for the next half of a year. And I don't think he knows how to fix it, because here's the thing. If I'm observant about the industry and I'm smart enough to know that it's definitely in trouble because it got devalued for way too long, I can guarantee you he's looking at the industry and he realizes the exact same thing. And I don't think he knows what to do about it, because there are no winnable situations. At one point, you have to do something bold and you have to take a chance, and you gotta hope it doesn't screw you. Now, the company as it stands right now is very screwed. It is very, very screwed right now. And these lawsuits and the UK's insistence, I don't think the UK is going to allow Uber drivers to be independent contractors anymore. And the thing is, Uber complains that that would devastate the company. And they're right. It would. And it would be, in some ways, very devastating for us drivers. But again, the drivers were happy with the rates the way they were before. They're not happy with them now. And it's kind of like how I explained how some people were not happy with the former president of the United States and why they would back the current president. Somebody like, how can you go for Trump? And it's like, because some people did not like Obama, and yeah, you know what? Would Trump potentially be a bad choice? Potentially, yes. But they knew what they were getting from Hillary, and faced with the opposition to keep going the way it was going and still feel slighted or go with something new and hope for a better outcome, they went with the unknown. And that's why you see, drivers trying to fight, to unionize, to get classified as employees. I personally believe super long term that will not benefit us. It will destroy what you like to do about this in the first place. But here's the thing, for a lot of people who are supporting their families on this, and I totally sympathize, and I'm hurting on this too, it's like they see the rates going, they see the benefits of seeing, they see their cars appreciating, and Uber not helping them to fix it. And so, you know what? Hey, even if this potentially destroys us, we've got to do something. Our livelihood is at stake. We can't keep going like this. We can't keep going like this. And so they will sue Uber, and it's like, we want to unionize, we want to do the workers' rights, we want to be employees. And I think long term, that will not result in something good. But many people will go with it because, hey, it's not working now. It's not working now, and we got to do something. We've got families to feed. And it never had to get to this point. It never had to get to this point. Travis Kalanick, you bastard. You bastard. How could you do this? Dara, listen to us. Not just to me. Listen to all the Uber drivers in the world. Listen to the people who comment in my videos. Oh, I just hit the table. I'm sorry. I'm getting really passionate about this. You never had to get to this point. You're here now, and you need to start reversing it. Raise the rates just 20 cents. And slowly raise it from there. And here's something else I want to point out, because this just shows how little Uber cares. We have just been hit with a tax hike in California for the gas. The gas, which is already our biggest expense, went from like $2.60 a gallon for me at Costco to $2.99, and I think it's going to be over $3 by next week. Uber is fully aware that there is a 30 cents per gallon hike, and that just eats into the driver's fare. Did they raise the rates to help cover it and explain the situation to the passengers that because of the gas tax, there is going to have to be a fare rate increase in California to help the drivers? That is something I believe even the most cold-hearted of passengers would have accepted because they just saw our governor put this on themselves. But Uber did nothing. Uber did absolutely nothing. Nothing to help with that. And this is why the drivers are fighting for employment rights, for unionization, for anything, because the change needs to happen. They need to be given some little morsel of respect, and they're not getting it. And that is what is currently going on, and that is my current stance on Uber today. Again, to recap, ultimately, I would love to stay an independent contractor. I love doing it on my time. If they went to employee status, I would probably stop because that is not what I signed up to do. But admittingly, it's not working. And it's not working for a lot of people. It's just, they're not paying enough, and it's too much driving, and it's too much wear and tear. And the company, at first was blind to see it. Now the company, I think, is in a position where I don't know if they can change it. Because the winner-take-all mentality caught up with them. And who knows if they're going to ever get out of it. Well, I think that's enough for this video. I don't know how long this is. I apologize for the length. But what do you folks think? I would love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a page member for $1 a month. I do appreciate it because I know that times are tough. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.